This is Channel 5's Metro Media News with Maury Povich and Gloria Gibson.
The federal government says tonight it plans to keep spraying Paraquat on marijuana fields in the United States. This despite cries of outrage from state and local governments across the country. And tonight, Metro Media 5's Bob O'Brien reports that two groups opposed to the spraying may ask the courts to step in.
A Drug Enforcement Administration task force descended on the Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky almost 2 weeks ago. It was only the second time federal agents had used the herbicide Paraquat domestically. A specially rigged helicopter loaded with Paraquat took off that day to douse pot plants in 3 tiny patches of forest land, even though 4 days earlier the DEA had denied they planned to spray the controversial weed killer in the Boone forest.
Traffickers have said that they are going to thwart our efforts by going to smaller plots on federal lands, believing that we would never take this approach on federal lands. And there's no reason why we should not.
But there are plenty of people who say there are very good reasons not to aerially spray Paraquat on marijuana. All federally approved uses of the herbicide are listed on each bottle of Paraquat. Spraying Paraquat over forests is not among the registered uses on the label.
I just got off the phone with the Chevron Chemical Company, and they have told us that they never applied to the EPA for forestry use of this product. There are, in our estimation, potential human health hazards and environmental threats associated with the use of this product.
I'm Hugh Downs, and this is Nightline. High winds and rains from Hurricane Alicia are lashing the Texas Gulf Coast tonight. We'll look at the storm's progress and the increasing threat it poses. And we'll talk with the head of the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Also tonight, the government's plan to use Paraquat, a controversial herbicide, in an effort to wipe out marijuana fields in 40 states. Now, no one doubts that Paraquat kills marijuana plants. Some fear it will kill humans as well. We'll talk with people on both sides of that issue and with a man who knows the illicit marijuana industry from the inside.
This is ABC News Nightline.
As an example of something we take for granted and to show how difficult communications are during a hurricane-sized storm, we're not able at this time to bring you a couple of reports that we wanted to bring you out of the Houston-Galveston area in Texas. We expect to be able to do that a little later on the program, but for now I'd like to turn to our next topic on Nightline. The question is, which is the most dangerous villain? Now, for the federal government, the enemy is marijuana. Growing it is a $10 billion illegal industry. Some say that it may be the 3rd largest cash crop in the United States today. The Reagan administration wants to stamp out marijuana with a herbicide known as Paraquat. But Paraquat is known to be poisonous to humans, and the government's plans to spray it in some 40 states has created a major controversy. John Martin tells us where the dispute now stands.
It was back in this area over here, and it's it's in a half a mile of here.
If you could have seen this field a week ago, today, you would never dreamed that this is the same field today. It's just unbelievable what it's done.
The spray hasn't bothered anything around here, the dogs, chickens, cats, garden, or anything. I can't understand what's all the fuss about.
The fuss is about Paraquat and a federal plan to spray one of the world's deadliest and most effective herbicides on one of the country's biggest cash crops, marijuana. It happened last Friday here in the mountains of North Georgia, about 100 miles from Atlanta. A helicopter from the Drug Enforcement Administration sprayed Paraquat on patches of marijuana discovered inside the Chattahoochee National Forest.
From this county flows approximately 40 to 50% of the drinking water for the total population of the state of Georgia. I drink it any other time, but I won't drink it now, not since they sprayed up here.
Today, some of the people who live just outside the forest section that was sprayed were complaining that they'd had only 15 minutes warning to get away, that some trees and crops seemed damaged, that they felt betrayed.
I wasn't angry, but I was upset then that they would not put our well-being first. But, and I also felt that because we are few in number and maybe that we're just little country people, they thought we didn't have enough sense to know what was going on.
But today, the federal drug agents moved to Tennessee, looking for more marijuana for more spraying, probably tomorrow. part of a program they believe is safe and necessary in at least 40 states across the country, which have signed up to participate.
It's much more economically feasible if you send ground troops in, ground agents in with paraquat on their back or with machetes or whatever. It could take all day, and you need an army if the site were rough enough terrain. This is very cost effective. It's very rapid. We can do it in 15, 20 minutes.
It has the blessings of the environmental standards. It's not as toxic as a lot of people lead you to believe. I didn't have any reason to say, well, the governor of Georgia is opposed to paraquat.
Paraquat, according to Dr. Edward Block, a University of Florida lung specialist, is one of the world's worst poisons. It can kill if only small amounts are swallowed, inhaled, or spilled on the skin.
So the battle has been joined. This North Georgia group signed petitions and got a federal judge to issue a temporary injunction.
For now, we have stopped the federal government from spraying paraquat here in the North Georgia mountains.
It applies only to one small part of Georgia. We'll probably go back into Georgia, conceivably, if not this year, certainly next, and spray some more.
The lines are forming here in the South for a battle that could soon affect much of the country and the health of more than the estimated 30 million Americans who now smoke marijuana.
I'd rather that they would spray than for them to raise the marijuana and it be sold to our children.
I certainly am not for it being legalized. I have 4 children, and their health and well-being is the most important thing in my life. And that's why I oppose to the spraying.
I'm John Martin for Nightline in Georgia.
Marijuana has been the subject of a national debate for many years, but Americans know a great deal.
Paraquat. Humans who are exposed to even small amounts of paraquat can suffer sickness or death. The chemical attacks the lungs, causing them to swell and resulting in suffocation. It also poisons the liver and kidneys. The herbicide itself is sprayed over the marijuana fields, shriveling and drying the plants in hours. The spraying has sparked fears that marijuana smokers here could suffer lung damage from paraquat poisoning. But federal drug enforcement officials say there is no scientific proof of that. On the positive side, some say that paraquat could revolutionize the farm industry, eliminating the need for difficult and costly plowing. It destroys the unwanted foliage and creates a rich organic mulch or seed bed for crops like wheat, corn, soybeans, and potatoes. Already used as a defoliant on more than 10 million acres of American farmland, paraquat is providing a much-needed boost to a financially troubled agricultural industry. Cheryl McCarthy for Nightline.
When we return, we'll discuss the danger of paraquat to human beings with a White House drug policy spokesman and with a specialist